Shortly before 4 o'clock in the morning on December 7th, 2001, 31-year-old Janine Vaughan was seen getting into a red car in Bathurst, New South Wales. She was never seen again. More than 20 years later, nobody has been charged over her disappearance. Her body has never been found, and the mystery of what happened that morning continues to haunt investigators and her family alike. Unlike many missing persons cases, we know a remarkable amount about Janine's final hours. Her movements were captured on CCTV. Witnesses watched as she climbed into the vehicle. And yet, despite all of that, what happened next remains a mystery. Tonight, we're taking a closer look at the disappearance of Janine Vaughan and the final moments before she vanished without a trace. By late 2001, Janine Vaughan had built a life for herself in Bathurst. Originally from Muswellbrook in the New South Wales Upper Hunter region, she had moved to Bathurst in 1998 and quickly settled into the local community. Friends and family described her as outgoing, friendly and full of life. She had worked at the Sandwich Board, a local business operated by members of her then boyfriend's family, before later becoming the manager at Ed Harry Menswear in the centre of town. At 31 years of age, Janine was well known among friends, colleagues and customers throughout Bathurst. No one could have imagined that a night out in December 2001 would become one of Australia's most enduring unsolved mysteries. On the evening of December 6th, Janine spent time with friends at the Oxford Hotel, before later heading to the Metro Tavern at 183 George Street. At 2:30am on December the 7th, CCTV cameras captured Janine arriving at the Metro with two friends, Jordan and Juanita. For the next hour or so, Janine remained inside as the night slowly drew to a close. At approximately 3:40am, Janine exited the Metro Tavern. Jordan followed close behind her. Outside the venue, Janine stopped to talk to a man named Mark Wright. The pair shared a kiss. That's Jordan now walking out the door. Then he stands there for a minute, sees Janine, and then walks off out of shot to the left. As Mark walked towards the waiting taxi, CCTV audio captured him saying a single word: promise. He then climbed into the taxi and disappeared into the night. Moments later, Janine became involved in an argument with Jordan and Juanita. The disagreement was captured on the tavern's CCTV audio. During the argument, Janine realised that her handbag was missing. Unknown to her, a security guard had already found the bag inside the tavern and placed it in a safe location. Jordan eventually walks away, but Janine and Juanita continued arguing for several more minutes. Before the two parted company, Janine told Juanita she was heading to the Ox Hotel for more drinks, which would have been the Oxford Hotel on William Street. Then, as she walked away, the CCTV captured what would become one of the last known comments she ever made. I can't even get into my house. It was a simple remark, spoken in frustration. If her keys were inside the missing handbag, it may explain exactly what she meant. Janine then walked away on her own. She continued along George Street before turning onto Keppel Street. Jordan and his girlfriend followed some distance behind. It would be the last time any of them would see Janine alive. As Janine made her way along Keppel Street, near McCaddy Park, a small sedan pulled up beside her. Several witnesses would later describe the car as red. Among them were Janine's friends, Jordan and Juanita. The vehicle remained beside Janine for approximately 25 to 27 seconds. It wasn't a brief encounter. For nearly half a minute, Janine stood beside the car. Some form of conversation appears to have taken place, but whatever was said has never been known. After approximately 25 seconds, the passenger door opened and Janine got into the vehicle. The sedan then drove away. Jordan and his girlfriend watched as the car disappeared into the darkness. For investigators, the red sedan would quickly become the most important lead in the case. It wasn't simply the vehicle Janine was last seen entering. Around 20 minutes earlier, another woman had reported a frightening encounter with a man driving a red car. At approximately 3:30 am, Lynette Borland was approached by a man in a red vehicle. The encounter frightened her so much that she ran to a nearby petrol station fearing for her safety and called the police. At the time, she had no way of knowing another woman would disappear less than half an hour later. Years later, investigators would continue examining whether the two incidents were connected. The possibility was difficult to ignore. As the investigations continued, police and forensic experts devoted significant resources to identifying the vehicles seen in the footage. Among them was Emeritus Professor John Graham Fryer, a leading expert in photogrammetry and image enhancement from the University of Newcastle, who conducted a detailed forensic analysis of the available images. Using advanced image processing techniques, Fryer analysed CCTV footage captured on the night Janine disappeared. His analysis concluded that the vehicle appeared to be a dark-coloured car and may have been reddish in colour. Investigators hoped that by enhancing the footage and comparing the vehicle's dimensions with known models, they might finally identify the car and its driver. Despite years of analysis and investigation, no conclusive identifications were ever made. To anyone watching that morning, Janine getting into the sedan may have appeared completely ordinary. There was no obvious signs of a struggle, no indication that anything was wrong, just a woman getting into a car. Yet more than 2 decades later, nobody has been able to determine exactly what happened after that moment. The identity of the driver remains unknown, and the mystery of the red sedan remains at the heart of the case. The following morning, Janine failed to arrive for work. At the time, she was the manager of Ed Harry Menswear in Bathurst. When the store failed to open, a customer contacted the company's Lithgow store. Concern quickly began to grow. The manager contacted the company's head office and attempts were made to locate Janine. As the day went on and nobody could find her, police were notified and inquiries began. What started as a missing persons investigation would eventually become one of the most significant criminal investigations in Bathurst's history. The investigation was originally codenamed Operation Toko, before later becoming Strike Force Toko. Police worked to reconstruct Janine's final moments. Witnesses were interviewed. CCTV footage was examined, and attention quickly focused on the small red sedan she had been seen entering in the early hours of December 7th. Over the years, investigators pursued numerous lines of inquiry. Police also continued to examine the possibility that the encounter involving Lynette Borland and the red vehicle earlier that morning was connected to Janine's disappearance. In 2008, detectives seized a red Renault 19 that investigators believe may have been linked to Janine's suspected abduction and subjected the vehicle to forensic examination. The examination generated further lines of inquiry, and investigators continued to revisit evidence as forensic technology improved. Then in 2009, a coronial inquest examined the circumstances surrounding Janine's disappearance. During the inquest, 3 men were publicly identified as persons of interest in the investigation. They were Andrew Donald Grant Jones, Dennis James Briggs, and Bradley Hosemans. Evidence heard by the inquest included claims that Jones owned a red vehicle with dimensions similar to the car Janine was last seen entering. The inquest also heard allegations that Briggs had at one point confessed to killing Janine before later denying any involvement. Despite years of investigation and public scrutiny, no charges have ever been laid against any of the 3 men. At the conclusion of the inquest, Coroner Mary Jerram found that Janine Vaughan had likely died. However, her cause of death could not be determined as her body has never been found. In 2013, detectives from the Homicide Squad's Unsolved Homicide Unit established Strike Force Toko II to reinvestigate Janine's suspicious disappearance and suspected murder. The new investigation revisited evidence, re-examined leads, and continued the search for answers. In March 2019, the New South Wales Government announced a reward of $1 million for information leading to the arrest and conviction of those responsible. More than 2 decades after Janine vanished, the case remains unsolved. Yet investigators remain convinced someone knows what happened. For Janine's family, the passing years have brought no closure. Her sister Kylie Speld has spoken publicly about the pain of not knowing what happened.
She was 31 when she went missing. So it has been quite difficult for us as family to continue on with our lives and knowing, things don't stop.
More than 20 years later, the questions still remain. Who was driving the red sedan? What happened after Janine got inside? And where is Janine Vaughan? If you have any information about the disappearance of Janine Vaughan, no matter how insignificant it may seem, you are urged to contact Crime Stoppers. One piece of information could finally provide the answer that Janine's family has spent more than 2 decades searching for.